What's up guys, it's Everett here, and in this video we're going to talk about a mobility movement that you should be doing daily, especially if you sit a whole lot. So this is a hot topic. People have kind of figured out sitting isn't very good for you, it's not good for your posture, you get very tight hips, it puts stress and compression on your low back. So we're going to take care of all of that with this mobility movement. Now there's a lot of options for stretches, corrective exercises, mobility movements when it comes to sitting. So I'm going to break down why you should be doing this one and why it works. And that's for 4 reasons. So first off, when you're sitting, you have hip flexion going on and typically a good amount of rounding of the low back or lumbar flexion, all right? So that's what most people catch on to when they talk about an anti-sitting movement or stretches you should be doing if you sit a lot. It's getting the hips open, getting your psoas stretched out, okay? So we are going to be taking care of that. Now next up, a lot of people don't pay attention to how important breathing with their diaphragm is. Diaphragm's your muscle right here. You most likely have heard about your diaphragm if you've listened to, singing exercise coaches or something like that. You have to be breathing with your diaphragm. And most people, when you're sitting, when you're paying attention to what you're doing on a computer, leaning forward, you're breathing with these tiny neck muscles, which were not designed to help you breathe thousands of times a day. And when you breathe with your diaphragm, it affects your digestion, your hormones, your posture, your ability to breathe and brace for, powerlifting or athletic performance. The next point deals with the actual anatomy of the hip, and it is a joint that rotates. So any movement or stretch or really anything you're trying to use to improve your hip health after sitting that doesn't involve rotation isn't actually helping your hips at all, and your hips are deeply impacted by sitting. So you must involve rotation. So we're gonna take care of that as well. And the last thing that we're gonna be taking care of is actually moving. So a lot of people, they sit, they're relaxed, they're passive. What they miss with fixing that sitting position is they go to a passive, relaxed stretch. They become more flexible. Not bad, definitely useful, and you'll get some results. You'll feel better from doing that. But if we really want to do the opposite of sitting, we have to be active, and that's what mobility is. It's building up flexibility that you can actually use and contract your muscles in for everyday life. So we're going to cover all 4 of those. I always like to explain what we're doing. That way you actually stick with it. You know why it works, and then you can go maybe help somebody else as well. So with that said, let's hop into the move. The movement we'll be performing is called a controlled articular rotation, CAR for short. This is a partial CAR, and this is from the FRS system. So you can see I've got a tennis ball behind my knee. That is optional. It's going to keep you a little bit more strict in the movement and make that muscle contraction a little bit more intense, but you might cramp with the tennis ball, so you can do this without a tennis ball. So we'll go through the proper technique. I'll show you some compensations you'll want to watch out for to keep you from cheating, and then we'll break it down a little bit more detail. So like I said, we're going to be face down. We're going to crush a tennis ball behind the knee, enough of a squeeze to where you don't lose that tennis ball, but not too much or your hamstring will cramp. I got my hips nice and even there. I'm breathing deeply into my stomach and then crunching down my abs and my ribs like I'm doing a plank. That's going to keep the hip isolated. So from here, I'm lifting my ankle and my knee directly up, abducting my entire leg, and then externally rotating until the knee and ankle are even and the shin is parallel with the ground. Set it down nice and gently with control. To return, we're going to keep the knee on the ground and rotate internally, taking the foot up towards the ceiling. When we've hit our end internal rotation, we're going to squeeze the glute, lift the knee, and try to get the ankle directly over the knee, and then we're going to close up into adduction and drop that knee down gently. So a couple things you're going to watch out for is to start just arching the low back and letting that right hip off the ground completely. And then from here, rotating the entire torso off the ground to get that shin parallel, and then just setting it down instead of using control to lower that leg. Same thing on the way back, we're going to be tilting the body to rotate that ankle up. We're going to be leaning the entire body to lift that leg, and then just dropping that knee. So that's easy. You're going to get a huge circle. You might get some benefit because you are moving, but the point here is to really isolate that hip and improve your entire range of motion of the hip with as much tension as possible. So even if this is a small movement, doing it right and really trying to crush that tennis ball will make a huge difference over time in your active mobility of your hip. If you're using this as a morning routine, kind of wake up movement, no tennis ball and a little bit of tension throughout the body is a great idea. However, if you're warming up for a workout, or maybe you just did a lot of stretching and you're trying to focus on learning how to use that new flexibility, using that tennis ball and getting a good little hamstring curl will make this much more intense. All right guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it and if you did that prone facing down controlled articular rotation and you feel better, you feel like you got fresher hips, hit the like button. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It's gonna help other people who sit too much and don't really know what to do about that find this video, and that's gonna help them. If you want more hip mobility training, check out my website, link in the description. I have a 16-part video e-course. It's 2.5 hours of content, and it covers hip mobility training like an education course. It's only 29 bucks. So go grab it, start training it, and feel better. Thanks for watching.